Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary and I am so excited for you to be here with me today. If you want to see this full face, go ahead and check out my previous video using all Juvia Place products. Now, let's go ahead, wash this makeup off and put on a brand new face. Hello everybody, welcome back to the next brand new face video. I am extremely excited about this one. This is kind of a special one. In recording this one, we are currently just getting started into our like 100 and over, kind of like $100 to $150 range. But I was very generously gifted with a brand here that is a little bit higher than that price range. We won't quite spoil how much this full face is going to cost here until the end. This is a special brand new face video with what appear to be very luxurious products in front of me. So I am extremely excited to get this one started. So I'll go ahead and introduce the brand here. This brand, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correct, is Surratt Cosmetics. Yeah, I had never heard of them before until starting researching for this brand new face project and stuff. And yeah, as I said, I was very, very generously gifted these products to test out for you guys, and I am extremely, extremely excited to try them out for you guys and let you guys know what I think of them. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I guess before we quickly get into it, there are a little bit more than our typical 15 products here. We've got about 18 products, which is gonna mess with the price a little bit here. But also with that, I believe they don't have like a bronzer or a setting powder, but we do have like 2 different eye shadow components and 2 different foundations that we're gonna both be using, and also 2 mascaras and 2 eyeliners. So a little bit more products than usual, which is gonna increase that price a little bit, but I was extremely curious to try them out here still. So yeah, I'll just stop rambling here. This might be a little bit of a longer video than my typical long brand new face videos. So before we get started here on the look, I wanna actually pull up their website here and kind of see what this brand is about, how they got started. That's something I'm gonna try to start incorporating into these videos here. So pulling it up here, it looks like Surratt was originally started in Japan by Troy Surratt, which is very cool. And it says here that it was inspired by design and aesthetic master craftsmanships of cultures brought to life through raw New York sensibilities. So very like top high end. I kind of think of like what you see in like magazines and things like that. And then it also says here, it says that Surratt is sophisticated, superior quality makeup that delivers uncomplicated pro-level results from the beauty-obsessed pro and non-pro alike. Surratt puts artistry at everyone's fingertips. And then a little further down here it says that they deliver an elevated experience through customizable products, superior formulations, and unrevealed functionality. So very cool. I did notice when on their website kind of looking at the stuff, a lot of their stuff is like refillable components. So you can purchase the component, and also if you run low, you can also purchase refillables. So some of the things that we have here are just like the refill part. I don't have like the actual components. So just want to let you know on that. But let's just get started. Let's stop rambling here and start out on the eyes like we usually do. So we're gonna grab the concealer product that I was provided with. So this is called the, man, I'm not gonna pronounce any of this right. This is the Surratt Perfectionist Concealer Palette, and looks like this is the option 2. So hopefully these concealers will be light enough for me. It's a little bit of a different, it's not like in a tube or you know, using a little doe applicator. Looks like we will need to go in with a brush to apply this. And then it has a powder down here as well to set that concealer in place. So I don't think I'm gonna be using the darkest one. I'm gonna be trying to use, I think this one looks a little lighter than that one. And we'll use this on our eyes here first to kind of get a base started and then go from there. So I'm gonna grab an e.l.f. just kind of like a flat packing brush. And I'm gonna dip in here, get some of the product on, and apply this to the eyelids. Okay, so we've got the concealer applied. I went ahead and grabbed a blender here as well, just to kind of even out any brush lines that might have been on there and just, yeah, make sure everything was looking nice and smooth before going in with our shadows. It definitely has somewhat of a tackiness to it, so I do think we are going to want to use that powder here to set it in place so our eyeshadows don't crease. I would say, like, you can kind of see it there. It's definitely not like, it's a very light coverage concealer, like their veins are still showing through, but I think it still might be nice as an eye base here. So let's take a fluffier brush. I'll grab this guy. This is a Luna Magic brush, just kind of a, just like a flatter but still fluffy brush, and I'm gonna dip into the powder down here and set the lids. Lids are set. That definitely took away some of that tackiness. Okay, so we will close the lid on that one and we will introduce the shadows or the eye products here. So I've got two eyeshadow products here. The first one is a what they call their liquid lacquer, and the one I'm going to use today is in the shade Hadaka, I believe is how that's pronounced. And here's what that looks like. It looks to be a creamy formula. This one has a kind of a, it's not like a matte or anything like that. It looks like it might have some little flecks in it to kind of add a little bit of shimmerness to the eye. And then the other product we're gonna use here is kind of a two-in-one. It's called their Prismatic Eyes, and this is in shade Style Eyes. So with this product, we can twist the lid and you're provided with what looks to be a cream-like product on top here. This is like a matte cream product that we can use. It almost looks like a pod that you could use for like eyeliner maybe, but that's not how I'm gonna try to use it today. But then if you like, just kind of shift the bottom, it'll reveal another shadow here as well. And this is like a powder metallic-y shimmer shadow. So this is like a two-in-one. So this is what we're gonna be using for the eyeshadows today. I thought it'd be nice to start with the lid lacquer first, kind of as a base, and then kind of put these on top. I'm not exactly sure what the game plan is here, or not sure if I should use a brush or anything for this. I think I might try using my finger first to apply this all over the lid, and then maybe I'll grab a brush to kind of diffuse and kind of blend things out. I think that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna dip my finger in here. Ooh, it's buttery. Ooh, just like melts on the, wow, okay. And let's go ahead and start kind of just applying this on the eyelid. So I've got this first shadow product applied here, and yep, it definitely makes the eyelids look a little glossy, kind of wet. It has a little bit of a shimmer to it, so it's a little reflective. Hopefully you guys can see that picking up here. It is such an interesting texture where like the warmth of your finger just melts it right away, like when you rub your finger into the pan. And then I did also try dipping in with a brush. Now I dipped in where my finger had already been, so that had already been wet. I'm curious, like if I off on the side here try to dip, like is it still, I mean, even that almost turns it pretty liquidy when just dipping it in off on the side. So it's a very different product, something that I'm not familiar with, which is exciting. So hopefully I used it somewhat correctly here. Tried to use sort of a combination of my hands or my fingers here and then also using a brush, and I feel like it blended out really nicely. I am a little worried because my eye shape that I have, products like this can tend to crease, so I'm curious if that's going to happen. I see it happening already a little bit on this eyelid here, so I'm going to blend that out with my finger, try and prevent that from happening. But it looks really cool. Like if you wanted to do a very like no makeup kind of thing, this could be a really fun thing to add just to the eyes for a little bit of definition, shimmer to the eyes. So I think it's really pretty. So let's go ahead and layer over top of it using that Prismatic Eyes. So this guy right here. And I think I'm gonna do a sort of similar thing. I'm gonna start with this and see if I can provide or put, you know, a little bit of depth out on the outer corner here using that. So I'm gonna dip in with my finger first, see how well that works. This is definitely drier feeling than the other stuff, but it does get a little buttery. Not as buttery as the first one though. So this one's a very pretty like grayish lilac color. I think it's beautiful. And I'm going to start applying that on the outer portion of the eyelid here. So I'm just finishing up applying this first shade here in that Prismatic Eyes little duo here, and it feels very similar to that first product we used. This one is definitely a little bit more matted, but because it has that like melted, or I mean like liquidy, buttery texture to it, it still does provide a little sheen to the eyes. It is a little cooler shade for putting out here in the outer crease for me, so I don't know how well you guys will be able to see that. I still wanted to test it out. So yeah, very subtle, very similar to the first product here. They are blending together very well, work their way into each other. So that's really, really nice. I think the star of the show is definitely gonna be this shimmer shade in here. Probably just gonna use my finger and apply that primarily all over the eye. And I think it's gonna stick really well to these liquidy bases. And yeah, we'll see kind of how that decides to sit. So dipping into this bottom shimmer shade here with my finger. Let's see what we think. All right, we've got the eyeshadow products applied here on the eyes. I will come in close so hopefully you guys can see it there. So I think it's beautiful. It's definitely, the way I would describe this is like, it definitely shows that luxury, but like subtle, semi-luxury, not glam kind of look. Hopefully that kind of makes sense, and hopefully my camera will pick that up for you. But I think that shimmer over top of all the other buttery products looks very, very pretty. It wasn't as like blinding as I thought it was gonna show up in the eyes, just kind of still adds to that like glossy, wet kind of look on the eye. So very pretty, but very subtle. I think is just a good way to describe it. So that's where we're gonna leave the upper eyes here for now. And we are going to go into the next product here, which is going to be a liquid liner. This is the AUTO-GRAPHIQUE liner, and it looks like this. Opening it up here, it's got a very nice, I think those might be brush tips that just come to a nice, nice peak. And with everything being like a refillable, this one did come to me in the full packaging, but you can untwist it here if you do end up running out, and you can replace this part. So I think that's very nice, very convenient. You don't need to be paying for that additional parts. You can kind of just hang on to those, which is really, really nice. So that is that. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna brush some on my hand here and then show it to you. Okay, so I'm gonna come in nice and close with my hand here. Hopefully it'll kind of focus and you can see this. I would describe this as kind of a watery liner. You can see that it really sinks into the cracks on my hand here, and it's not extreme black pigment. It's a very, yeah, it's soft, and you can kind of see it bleeding into the cracks and things on my hand here. So hopefully that doesn't end up bleeding into the waterline and smudging around here too much. We can't know until we put it on our eyes here, I guess. So I'm gonna wipe this off my hand here real quick, and then I'll bring my mirror in close again, and we will apply this to our upper lash line. All right, we've got that liner applied. I decided to try and flick it out here a little bit. They're probably not even. Wings are not something I'm good at, but I just was curious to see. I wanted to pull it out a little bit here just because the eyelids are a little bit more subtle, and see how, if it's gonna do that like bleeding that it did on my hand. I will say, compared to how it was on my hand, it did apply a lot better to the eyelids, which is very, very nice. So I do like how it's looking here on the eyelids, and it was nice and easy to apply. I don't use a lot of like brush tip applicators like that, but it was really nice. You could kind of press down to get a nice like thicker line if you wanted, but it always came back to a point. The little bristles always came back together, which is really nice. So I do think so far this is sitting on the eyes here really nicely, so that's very exciting. Let's go ahead and introduce the mascaras. Yes, I have two mascaras because one of them is so interesting and I really wanted to try it. So we're gonna try this really interesting one first, and then we'll probably end up putting the other mascara over top to also be able to try that one as well. So this one here is called their Neor Lash Tint, and I wanna pull it up on their website here because I came across either through their Instagram they talked about it, or maybe it was on their website here. They talked about this product. So I'm going to show you the applicator here first before I go into this about this product that they have on the website. So opening it up, here is the applicator. It's a metal applicator. It almost just looks like a screw that you would just like screw into, I don't know, whatever screws go into. It is so different. And when I saw this, I was like, what? And I was so curious. So I'm going to read the about this product, or parts of it here. So it says that our Japanese-made metal brush allows you to coat every single lash, even the shortest. I have short lashes. The hardest to reach hairs all the way down to the roots. This smooth, intense black formula, exclusive to Surratt, creates the effect of elongated, fuller lashes from corner to corner. For precise definition, sweep on one coat. For increased density, use two. For extreme volume, use 3 or more coats to build without bulk. So it's so interesting. So I really wanted to try this one out first to see just how well this metal applicator works. And it sounds like they're even saying, hey, you short lash people out there like me, this is gonna help you out. So let's see what it does. I'm gonna grab my lash curler here real quick and curl our lashes. All right, and I'll bring my mirror back over, and I'm gonna try so hard to not lean down too much. I know I do that a lot when applying like my mascaras and things like that. And I'm gonna try and apply this lash tint. That is so interesting. So it works. I mean, it's applying, it's looking like a mascara here. So this is like one decently built up layer. I kind of went over it a couple times. Maybe it's a 2-layer, I don't know. I'm gonna come in close so you guys can see this. I mean, there's still teeny tiny little baby lashes there, but I mean, it coated them. And I think something that I thought was the coolest about this so far is like, oftentimes with my short lashes, when I'm trying to get really close to my eyelid, what ends up happening is like the bristles go through and I end up like scraping along my lash line here. So like if I create a look and I don't want to wear eyeliner, so many times I'll get mascara down there and like mess up my eyeshadows when I'm trying to apply my mascara, because I'm trying to get so close and the bristles end up hitting my lash line there. And this doesn't really do that, which is really cool. So I'm going to apply another layer to see if we can kind of build that up a little bit more. So that's a second layer. It definitely thickens it a little bit. I wouldn't say it's gonna lengthen anything anymore. So I'll try to come close here again and see if you guys can see the difference on that guy. I mean, yeah, I like it. I definitely like it, especially for, as I already stated, like it doesn't brush against my eyelid when I'm like trying to apply it really close. So that's pretty cool. I was going to put this down because I assumed it would be really, really thin and just kind of like a black tint, and then I'd put the other mascara on over top of it. But I think I'm gonna just leave this eye with this Neor Lash Tint. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Neor Lash Tint. And then on the other eye here, we'll take the actual mascara and apply that over there. So this one is called the Relievey Mascara. So this one is more of like your typical, you open it up here and you've got a bristle applicator. This one, they are smaller bristles. Here's what that one looks like. So let's go ahead and coat this on the other eye. So the mascara is applied on the other eye here. Sorry if I'm blinking a little bit. I got something in my eye there. I don't think it's the mascara. I think it's glitter from a different look that I did. I think this is a fiber mascara. I want to check that out as well. Microfibers. Yep, so this one has microfibers in it. I haven't used a lot of fiber mascaras, but it definitely did kind of make them appear as a little bit longer. They're not necessarily staying as curled. They are starting to sit a little bit more flat here. But yeah, it does look really nice. It did apply really thin at first, and I was like, oh, this applies more thin like a tint versus this other one here that is considered a lash tint. But having them here both side by side after building them up. This one's a little bit longer, but the eyelids or the lashes are starting to fall more. And this one is a little bit more chunky kind of build up, but those lashes are staying a little bit more lifted. So there's that. I'm not sure if I came in close for you guys to see. Oh, my eye. See that guy. We will set those down for now. I'll probably kind of do a similar thing on the lower lashes and see how that works. So let's go ahead and keep rolling. We're going to keep the eyes here for now, and we're going to hop into the face product. So the first face product here is going to be their primer, and this is their Perfectionist primer. So yeah, let's open it up. And it looks like it comes with a nice pump applicator. Let's pump a little bit on the back of our hand here. Ooh, very liquidy like. Feels like it's gonna be very moisturizing. A little of this is going to go a very long way. Yep, so it looks like it's gonna be very moisturizing. Might provide a nice dewiness to the skin. No scent to it, which is really nice. All right, so I'll pump a little bit onto my fingertips here and apply that all over the face. All right, we've got that applied. I might apply a little bit more here. It feels very much like a skincare product. Very hydrating. I said a little bit goes a long way, but I think like, man, my skin just drank that up. Like I applied it and it just like, shoop, it just disappeared. So I'm gonna apply a little bit more in the spots where I think I might need it. And I mean, you can't really feel it. It just like sinks in, dries in, and your face is like, okay. It doesn't make the face necessarily now look hydrating, but I think my skin drank it up and is, you know, trying to be a little bit more hydrated. I don't know. And it's dry. It doesn't have like a tackiness to it or like a silkiness to it. It just dried. Hopefully that's doing good things for the face. It's really hard to tell. That's the primer. Very interesting. First time a primer has just kind of like right into the face. Let's go ahead and introduce the foundations. So yes, I have two foundations as well. The first one here that I think we're gonna use is this is their Surreal Skin Foundation Wand. And I believe, because when you open it up here on the top, it's a brush. But then on the bottom here, it's got this, and I didn't want to end up doing it and like putting product into it. I think what we end up doing is just pushing this, and that's going to disperse product here into this brush, and then from there you blend it onto the face, I think. If that's not the case, I'll have to figure out how to use it. But I will also introduce here now the other foundation that we're going to use, and this one came with instructions, so we don't mess this up. The other one here is the Dewdrop Foundation. So I haven't like fully opened this one here yet. When opening it up here, it's got like a dropper, and then on the bottom it's got like a little thing that you will push that'll like push the product through the dropper. So I think what we'll end up doing is using this first, just kind of get that, and then if we want to make things a little bit more dewy, maybe add a little bit of this to the face as well. That's the plan. So I'm gonna put the lid on the dewdrops for now, and let's figure out this guy here. Now the shade that I have for the foundation wand is in their shade 2. Hopefully not too light, but hopefully not too dark. All right, so I'm going to try pumping this. Kind of keep my hand here just in case. There it goes. Ooh, okay, so a little bit came out on the top there. And let's start applying this on our face. Okay, and so my game plan here for this, because the brush is very small and it definitely leaves kind of streak marks on the face here is I'm gonna just kind of get it applied all over the face and the excess down the neck here a little bit. And I'm gonna pump just a tiny bit more on my hand here. I'm gonna grab a sponge here. This is the Beauty Creation sponge, and just kind of blend the rest of it in that way to get rid of the streaks and make sure that we have a little bit more of an even coverage. Okay, so I've got that first foundation here applied. It's definitely a lighter coverage foundation. The little wand here takes a lot of time to really get the product. I actually still need to get a little bit on my brows here. Didn't get quite close enough to those. So I find that it's a little easier to just kind of dot the product on with this wand and then take whatever you prefer. If you have like a larger brush that you'd prefer to kind of put the foundation on with, or something like a sponge, and then kind of move the product around that way instead. But it's got a really nice finish. The primer underneath isn't really doing a whole lot, and you can definitely still see some textures on my face here, which is fine. I just kind of want to point those things out. Again, not so full of a coverage. I've got some stuff here that is definitely still showing through. Again, not an issue, just kind of want to show those examples for you guys. So I would say the thing I'm enjoying about it here the most so far is just kind of that little bit of a loomy finish that it's kind of providing here. It is very light. It feels like it just needs to slightly be set down. It's got a little bit of a tackiness to it, but it's not heavy or anything on the face here, which is really nice. Something else about it that I'm not a huge fan of is when they are these kind of brushes where like the product just kind of sits up here. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you can't like clean the brush, and if you put it away and say you don't pick this up for a while, you do just have this foundation, this old foundation that's kind of just drying out in the top of this brush here. So I don't love that part of it. I've never really been a fan of these products that push through and into the brush. I like when they're kind of separate, where you can remove the brush and clean it up and things like that. So just kind of wanted to point that out. So I'm gonna put the lid on this foundation, and let's go ahead and grab the drops now. So looking at the instructions that I gave here, it says it's a light to medium coverage foundation with a dewy hydrating finish that's ideal for natural looking everyday wear. All right, so I don't think it'll add too much more coverage to our light coverage that we've got going on here so far. Use caution when opening. It says that it might explode. Air pressure may cause the formula to flow to the top. So before use, shake the bottle with the cap on, and then press the dropper button to disperse a measure of foundation. 1 to 2 drops is the recommended amount to cover the entire face, and put that on the back of your hand. And then they say, starting from the center of your face, where uneven skin tone is more apparent, use their brush. I don't have their brush. And blend outwards towards the forehead. So pull the product outwards. Okay, we will try to do that. I'll take something, I don't know if this is a good example, but it's kind of a wider brush. I'm going to use this Luna Magic brush. It's kind of like an angled, wide kind of fan brush, but I think that'll be big enough that we can kind of take the product, pull it out like they recommend. So we shook our bottle. We're going to cautiously open it. All right, and take 1 to 2 drops. 1, 2, like that on the back of our hand. And then take our brush and apply the product outwards. Okay, so I've kind of pulled out the product like they said they recommended. That's not really my ideal way to apply a foundation, so if I do continue to use this product, I'll probably just blot it down like I usually do. They say that the texture is usually here. I have most of my imperfections back here, so I actually like to start here to make sure that that gets covered and then pull my product in. So I'm going to, I think I've got this fairly evenly dispersed. I'm gonna do the same thing and grab that sponge and then just kind of smoothen everything out. And the shade I have in this one is 1.5, so it might be a little bit lighter than that first foundation we applied, but I still think it's looking very nice here on the skin. All right, so we've finished blending in that second foundation. I'll try to come in close so you guys can see. I like how it's looking here on the forehead. That's kind of the place where I have the least amount of issues. And I'm not loving necessarily how everything's sitting kind of here. And I kind of wonder if typically that's where I do apply a primer. So it's probably just like the texture or just anything that's going on underneath the skin that's not letting it sit the nicest there. But I do, again, like I'm liking this dewier finish that both of the foundations are providing. The second one is a little bit more dewy, I would think, but I really like it. I had noticed it is already starting to crease up here in the nose a little bit, so we will want to get this set down soon. But I am going to try to do a little bit of concealing. I'm not sure if the concealer we have is quite the right shade, just against the eyelids here to get a little bit of coverage there before we set. So let's pull back out the Perfectionist concealer palette, and again grabbing that e.l.f. kind of flat brush, going into that concealer here that we used before, and then just running a little bit of this under the eyes. I'm just kind of dabbing the product in, and I'll take my blender and put it in. I'm going to put a little bit here too as well. I feel like the foundation isn't sticking the greatest kind of there. Okay, and grab our sponge. That concealer is applied. Don't know what to think of it here yet. It's a fine shade match to the foundations. It's not necessarily brightening like most concealers that I try to have are, but that's okay. So that's on the face. I want to go ahead and get this set down. So first we're going to go in with the setting powder, and if need be, we can actually use the setting powder in the concealer if we need to brighten or attempt to brighten under the eyes here a little bit. So the setting powder is called the Daphne Loose Powder, and the component that I have here is the refill. So I don't have the actual part that it goes into, so this does look a little different. So I'm just gonna open up the top here. I don't know if I should rip this entire thing off because I don't have the appropriate component, but I am. So here it is, just pulling it off. It brings a lot of powder up to the top, but it's got like a mesh here that I'm pretty sure that you can take your brush into that'll get the product, the loose powder that's underneath above the mesh. So I'm going to grab one of our Sonia brushes and kind of dip into this powder here and set down the face. All right, we've got that set. I'm gonna quickly go into this concealer palette here again and take that powder brush that we used for the eyes and go under here and just make sure that those are concealed enough. All right, we've got the powders on. My face is set. I've got powder all over me. And looking at the complexion here so far, there's a couple spots where the powder is clinging to a little bit more. The foundation is not the most even. I'm noticing kind of spots here, kind of up by my cheeks, where it seems to be that the foundation isn't really sitting on the skin. And when I put the powder over top, it seems to have kind of lifted the foundation a little bit, which isn't very exciting. So there is something there that I should probably just stop touching it. It seems to be moving around and not actually wanting to sit on the face here. But I mean, still, we've got an okay base down. Things are a little bit more evened out with the foundation on, but I just want to point out those little small things for you. So here is the foundation so far. Let's go ahead and grab the next product, which I probably should have done this before powder. I was not thinking. I'm going to grab the highlighter product, which is a cream product. This is their, I believe it's pronounced Torche Lumiere. And the shade that I got in this is Dynamite. And this is a shimmer stick or a highlighting stick. Here's what that looks like. So I will try and just glide it on the face here first. I know sometimes what people will do is they'll take like the base of like a blender or something and pop it on that way. But I'm gonna try just applying it here to the high points first. I'm so scared. I don't use a lot of like highlighter sticks. I'm actually gonna kind of dab it. I'm just gonna tap, 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 tap. So it doesn't necessarily glide, it kind of like skips. All right, that highlighter is applied. So you guys can see that. I think it's really pretty. It's a stick, which I thought maybe would glide. It is kind of like a drier stick, so it doesn't necessarily like slide on the face. I found the best way to apply it was to either, if you wanted it nice and soft, kind of just bounce it on the face a little bit to get a little bit of it to apply, but if you wanted to build it up a little bit more, I ended up just taking my finger, kind of rubbing it on the highlighter stick and then taking that and pushing that onto the skin. And I think that looks really, really nice. So that's the highlighter. Let's go ahead and go on to blush next. So this is another one of their like refill packages, but this is one of their Artistique blushes, and the one I'm going to use today is in the shade Lavin and Rose. So when you open it up here, Here's what this shade looks like. It's just kind of your typical rosy shade. This is kind of a common shade that I go for. Let's go ahead and grab a brush. We're gonna use one of our e.l.f. angled blush brushes. Dip on in there and apply this on the cheeks. All right, we've got the blush applied. I tried to apply it really nice and like heavy right here. I thought that kind of looked really cool with like how the highlighter was sitting to give ourselves a nice little flush and blushed cheek moment. So it's a little bit heavier here than I usually go for, but I think it looks really nice. I am gonna take my sponge again just to kind of quickly go over things to make sure they're blending in nicely. This shade is coming off as a matte shade, but I think because we put down the highlighter first, that is kind of blending in with it to make it a little more loomy here on the face, but I think it looks really pretty. Hopefully my camera is picking this up for you guys nicely, but I think that that shade is really nice, and I think that blush applied very nicely. So let's put the lid on that, and let's move back to finishing up the under eye here. Now I'm not gonna do a whole lot underneath the eye. I think I'm only gonna focus on using the Prismatic Eyes and taking a small brush and just dipping in on this top shade to kind of bring some of that purple down. I don't think we're gonna use any shimmers down there. So let's grab, this is another Luna Magic brush. I'm using a lot more of those today than I usually do. But this is like a flat, dense brush. So I'm gonna dip onto the cream. I don't know, I'm tapping it. Dip on into that cream and just kind of run this all along the lower lash line. Okay, we've got that applied, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. We're gonna keep it nice and simple here on the lower lash line. I feel like that applied fairly easily. It is, again, kind of a subtle color, so I don't know how well you guys will be able to see that, but looking at it here in my mirrors, I think the eye look looks very nice and subtle. I'm happy we went with a wing here. I think that just kind of adds a little bit of drama to the eyes here with the more subtle eyeshadows that are going on. So I think that's looking really nice. Let's go ahead and grab those mascaras again. Starting on this eye here again, we're gonna use that Neor Lash Tint. I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna show you guys this again because it's still, man, it's the coolest thing ever. I don't think I'll ever get over this thing. And let's try using this on the lower lashes. Again, I will try not to lean too far forward, and hopefully you guys can see me applying this. The mascara using the Neor Lash Tint is applied. I will come close and hopefully you guys can see here. Now this was a little messier. I definitely got it right there and a little bit here in the outer part as well. So using this wand was a little tricky for me on the lower lashes, but I still think it coated the lashes fairly nicely, nice and black. So I do like that. I will just have to do a little bit of cleanup here to clean up those trouble areas once that dries down. Now let's go ahead and grab the other mascara and apply it on the opposite eye. All right, and here is the mascara on the other eye. Again, I got a little bit messy with it, but comparing the two, being that this one here is a fiber one, it definitely lengthened those a little bit here on the bottom, and this one mostly just kind of made them nice and black. So it's gonna look a little funny here. I'm gonna let that mascara dry before we try smudging away any of that so we don't make our under eyes dark. So leaving that there for now, we do actually have one more eye product that I almost forgot about. We've got this Inner Light Baton, and so here's what that looks like. And if this product shocked me. I was so confused because like a couple days ago I was kind of getting things set up for this video, and of course when I open it I'm like, okay, cool, it's a nude colored liner that you can use kind of in your lower waterline to make your eyes appear a little bit brighter or wider. But they were calling it a baton, and I was looking at the picture on the website and I'm like, this is dual-ended, and I could not figure out, looking at it here, I'm like, I don't see anything that pulls or like would make the other side open up. And if you look really closely, the seam is so invisible. There is actually a seam there where you can untwist it, and there is another end to it here that is a little sponge that packs into a very shimmery like highlight, and you can use this on the lower lash line or like in your inner corner for that extra pop of brightness. So that's what we're gonna do, but I was just like, if somebody would have given this to me, I would probably have never realized that there was another product underneath here if I would have never looked it up or anything like that. And I would have just been like, oh yeah, we've got a nude eyeliner. That's really cool. But no, there's more to it, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and grab the liner side here, and we're gonna waterline using this on the lower lash, or on the lower waterline. Probably should have done this before mascara, but I almost forgot about it. All right, and then next we're gonna untwist that other side here and use this and apply this in the inner corner. All right, and then we will quickly grab a spoolie here and see if we can kind of clean up those mascara issues. All right, and the eyes are complete. I'll come in close so you guys can see those. Hopefully you guys can see that that nude colored liner is making the eyes appear a little bit wider, a little bit brighter, and I think that's really fun. Sometimes when I do this, it kind of throws me. It looks, I think, a little bit more natural like on camera here, but when I look in the mirror, it kind of takes me by surprise at first, but I really like kind of doing that. So I'm excited that they have this kind of product where we can brighten up our lower waterline to make our eyes appear wider. So I'm liking the eyes, that's really pretty. So let's see what's next here. I think it's going to be brows. Yes, so for the brows, we have the first product here is their Expressionist brow pencil, and I was given the whole component here, but the way that they sent it over was with the component part and also the refill here. So there are instructions here for us to put this together, and I'll just kind of get these taken out of the little storage thing. Now the one thing, and we'll talk about this more when we talk about the products individually or whatever, but this little thing that kind of shocked me at first is, so this is the brow pencil itself, this much product. So I don't think that's a lot of product, especially when your component is this big. You would typically think that, not all, but you know, a good portion of the component would be filled with product. This definitely is a pretty small amount of product in my opinion, but we'll get into that a little bit more later. But let's put this together. It says, insert the cartridge into holder. Okay, there's maybe not too much to it. I thought there was more steps to it. Insert. For optimal use, twist to extend the pencil slightly beyond the tip of the cartridge. Do not overextend the pencils, it may result in breakage. And on the other end, we have a spoolie. Okay, so that was fairly simple. I thought there was going to be more to that. So let's open the lid here. Let's open the lid here. Oh, there's no lid. There's no lid. Like that. Okay, there we go. That's interesting. There's not actually a lid. It just kind of comes out of the top here. Here's the product. What shade do I have in this? I hope this is the blonde shade. I'm not really sure. We'll just have to go for it. So I've extended the product out here a little bit. It's a kind of a regular size pencil. It's not large or anything, but it's not a micro tip. Let's comb through our brows and apply the product. All right, so I think we're gonna call that good for the brows. So here's what those are looking like. The product applied very, very nicely. So there's definitely pigment to the product. Wasn't that hard to work with at all. And there were a couple spots where I kind of goofed a little bit, and you can take the spoolie in that specific area, and it does seem to soften it up nicely. So I do like how those are looking here so far. So that's the brows, and let's go ahead and set the brows with the next product here, which is this is the Expressionist Brow Pomade. And I believe this is a clear pomade. So let's open this up. Here's the packaging. Open it up. It's got this, ooh, really weird brush. It's like a toothbrush. And a lot of product goes on there. Kind of smells like glue. So I wonder if this is supposed to be like, I mean, if it smells like glue, hopefully it'll hold them really well. This does seem like a lot on the brush. We'll still just go for it. I'm gonna go ahead and start combing this through the brows to set them down. That brow pomade is what they call it. I mean, it's like a clear brow gel that is applied, and I actually really like that. So it definitely did a good job here, fluffing the brows up, pulling the brow hairs up, which is something that I really like. But it also just did it in a very like soft way. A lot of times when you put like a gel into your brows, it really makes the hairs look a lot more defined. And this product seemed to make them still lift up, but not look super heavily coated. They still look just very thin and fluffy. I'm not sure how long it'll hold, but you could still, like, you could feel it drying down. So I think that's really good. Yeah, that was really fun to use. I'm liking how the brows are looking here. And let's go ahead and move on to the next product here, which is going to be our lips. Yep, we are coming to the end. The lips are the last products, but we have 3 lip products here, starting off with the liner. Now this is the Modernist Lip Pencil. And opening it up here, it is a retractable pencil. Looks like the shade that I have is in their Embrassed Moi. And it looks like it's a pretty deep red. Now, I don't think it's gonna match too well to the other lip products I have here, so I might try to go really light with this so that it doesn't look too weird with the other lip products that I have, because this does look to be like a nice deep red. But it's a retractable pencil. On one side, it's got a sharpener here, and then it's got like it opens up again where you can like empty the sharpener maybe. I don't know. There's like this second part that opens up there. So let's go ahead and apply this on the lips. All right, we've got the lip liner applied. So I lined and filled them in very softly. I wanted to be very careful because I don't want it to mess too much with the other products, but it applies really nicely. If I were to have gone like at a normal heaviness, I guess, it would have been a very deep, bold, beautiful red, but I decided to go very soft and kind of moved it around my fingers, which it blends really nicely, so that's a good thing. So you can soften it up like this, and I think it looks very, very beautiful. So let's go ahead, set this down. All right, so let's go ahead and grab the next lip product. This one is what they call their LIPSLIQUE. And the one that I'm going to use today is in their shade Paramour. So opening it up here, it's just kind of one of these like lipsticks. And then it's got a little twisty on the bottom, I believe. There we go. To push the product up. So it's like more of like a peachy kind of nude shade. So that's why I went really light with the lip liner, because I wanted to make sure that things didn't look a little weird with a bright lip underneath. So let's go ahead and apply this product on the lips. All right, that is applied. That applied nice and quickly. I think that shade is beautiful. And even with the red lip underneath, I think it kind of made it look even more pinky. So I think that looks really pretty. It's very juicy and moisturized feeling on the lips here. So I really like the finish of it. And yeah, I like how it feels on the lips here. No scent, no flavor, which is really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on that. And we've got one more lip product here, and this is their lip lustre. So I believe these are more like a lip gloss. And the one I'm using today is in their shade, man, I hope I'm pronouncing most of these correctly, but I'm really not sure. I'm gonna say it's pronounced Nudette, I'm not too sure. So let's open this up. All right, it's got a pretty simple doe foot applicator there. And this specific one here is like a nice light color. And you can, if you look really close, there's like small little shimmer flecks in there. So let's go ahead and apply this over top. That is applied now. I think that's looking really nice here on the lips as well. It's making things look a little bit more juicy. You can't necessarily see those little like shimmer flecks in it, but I think that kind of adds to that juiciness to it. They're so small that it just kind of helps with that reflectiveness. And it is a little bit tinted, so it did even take the shade here a little bit more and pull it back and make it a little bit lighter. And I really like that. I think it looks really pretty. So I like how it feels. It's a little bit of like a thicker gloss than what I'm used to. I kind of like thinner glosses, have a little bit more slip to them. This one is a little bit thicker, but I still really like how it feels and the effect that it's putting on the lips here. Yeah, so I think that's everything. Yeah, that is all of the products. This is our full face using all Surratt products, and overall, I'm really happy with how the look is here. So I hope you guys like it here as well. Let's go ahead, get things kind of cleaned up here, and we'll get set up to talk about the products individually. All right, we are all set up here to talk about the products individually. Again, here is our full face, and I'm really liking it. I think especially the lips really helped pull things together. The lips and the simple eye, I'm really liking this. The shine that the highlighter is providing here to the face. So it's a very, I don't know the best way to describe it, but I would say it's a very like comfortable, dewy, effortless, but it's got shine to it. It's got that luxe to it, I think. I hope that makes sense what I'm saying here. So it's not like a bold look with a bunch of crazy colors and dark smoking things out. It's just very simple like products, but very luxurious packaging and also looking pretty luxurious on the face here as well. I think is a good way to describe this look. So I'm really happy with how things are looking here on the face. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to leave that down in the comments if you guys like this look. Let's go ahead and figure out what our full face cost is. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is nowhere near, it's not even in the range of what the price range of the 100 to 150 categories that we're currently recording, but this was generously given to me and I thought it'd be really fun to put this up and out there. Yeah, let's just leave that there. So I had a lot of fun putting this together. Our price is a little different because we did have a couple of duplicates that when I typically do a brand new face video, I would not have used two different types of eyeliners. I would have just picked one something at random. Typically if they have like a liquid liner, I just grab a liquid liner and I don't worry about grabbing a pencil liner. We had two mascaras that we tested out, so that's something to include as well. And then oftentimes with like lip products, I'll usually just get a lip liner and something on top. In this instance, we had the lip liner, lip product, lip gloss. So there's more there. And then also we had two foundations on our face. So that messes with our typical pricing as well. But I wanted to try as many products here for you guys. So this full face costs us $852. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Ah. Yeah, I know that someday we're gonna get to that price range, hopefully, because I have a lot of brand new faces on my list here that show this price. But man, when you actually have it in front of you and you're putting it on your face, oh, that's a weird thing. So $852 is a lot of money for makeup, I think. But that doesn't necessarily mean that some of these products are or aren't worth it. Obviously, I'm a person who very much likes affordable makeup, but in some cases, it is really nice to splurge and get a product that, like, if it works, sometimes it's really worth that price point. So yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the products here individually. I'm gonna be honest, being that these products were like given to me and the price range is so hard, it's gonna be hard to say no on some of these. That's such a weird feeling to be like, man, this was worth more than a penny. I don't wanna have to give it away or not use it anymore. So I'm gonna try to do my best to be completely honest about the performance of these, but just so you know, it's gonna be tricky based off the cost of these. So let's start off with the eyes and the concealer, that product there. So this concealer product that we used here, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna try to start off right there and just say no. This is a type of product that I'm not too familiar with, this type of concealer concept, but even with that, I wasn't the biggest fan of the performance of the concealer. I didn't think it did a great job of concealing and covering up things. We used it on our eyes to prep, and I didn't think it even did much there. It provided a tacky base, but everything else was creamy anyways, and we set that down with powder, so I don't think it performed well as a eyeshadow base, and also I don't think it performed too well on the face. I don't think it necessarily concealed, and it is also creasing, and it's not necessarily laying even on the face here. So with all of that in mind, like, I still think our face looks great, but I mean, if you look up close and you look at the little details of it, I really don't see myself ever reaching for this product because I didn't necessarily enjoy the performance of it. So the concealer is going to be a no. The next products are going to be the eyeshadow products. So we went into that lid lacquer, this guy right here. And I mean, this was such an interesting product. You can even still see there, like where my finger was, it just turns into butter. It's just this really creamy, buttery eyeshadow. And I think it looks really pretty on the eyes. I had mentioned that with my type of eyes, they definitely crease a little bit. And you are seeing that with all of these eyeshadow products kind of layered on, that it is creasing, but not to a major point here. Sometimes, and maybe it'll happen as I continue to wear this, if I wear it for longer than this video, that near the end of the day, it's like all of the product will be bunched up in these areas and there'll be no product even left anywhere else on the eyelid. And I don't think that's the case with this one. It's hard to know, but it's minimally creasing. But I really love that luminess that it provides here to the eyes. I think it looked really well as like a nice simple eye base. It's one of those kind of like one and done products that you can just kind of swipe on the eye just for a little pop of something. So this was a fun product. I'm gonna say yes to the lid lacquer. And then we have the other eyeshadow product, which is their Prismatic Eyes. And I'm also gonna say yes, sort of for similar situations. The cream on the top here performed fairly similar to the lid lacquer. They've got very similar consistencies. If you dip your finger in there, it's fairly buttery, not as buttery as that other one, but it just kind of like melts onto your finger and applies really nicely. It's a very, again, soft pigment to it, but the way that it sits on the eyes and just like, again, the luminosity that it puts on the lid is just really pretty. And then in addition, we used the kind of shimmer shadow here underneath. I will be honest, looking at it here in the packaging, I thought it was going to be a lot more glittery and maybe it can be packed on a little bit more, but in the pan here, it looks so sparkly and so like distracting and things like that. And on the eye, it definitely kind of disperses and is a little bit thinner, but I still think it added to the look. Being that it was a powder, I think it did a good job kind of setting those crease products that we used. So I think something like this is kind of fun, where you can put a you can put a cream base down and then kind of put something powdery over top to really hold that product in place. So all three of these products, I think, created a very beautiful, luscious, loomy eye look, and I'm really happy with it. So this product is also going to be a yes. Then we aligned the upper lash line here with the liquid liner. This one is a tough one, and I meant to mention it earlier and I totally blanked on it, but I really like initially how it applied. The brush tip applicator is really nice. If you kind of do push into it and the bristles kind of flow apart, they do come right back together to a nice point. So I think it works really well to get a nice point here at the end if you are somebody who enjoys doing winged liner. I do want to mention though that I did notice when I was applying my lower shadow products, I did see it starting to bleed a little bit down here. So I don't quite know what the long wear of it is. It's a little bit scary to see your liner moving around before you've even finished your makeup. So I think I have to say no to this one, primarily for that purpose of the makeup appearing that it might move around and not really stay in the eyes for a long time. But it does look really pretty. It looks really pretty. So it's hard to say no, but I don't think it's gonna be one that I reach for over a lot of my other liners that I have, because they are a little bit more trustworthy and I know that they're not gonna move and slip around. So I gotta say no to that one. Let's go ahead and just finish with the eyes here. I'm gonna grab the next liner product here, which was this pencil with like the nude stick, and it had the shimmer on the bottom here as well. And I'm gonna say yes on this one. I enjoy doing this whole putting a lighter liner in your lower lash line to make your eyes appear brighter, bigger, more awake. And I definitely think that that effect works really well. And oftentimes I've used just like a pink, or I have a white that I use. And sometimes that can look a little weird, but when it is more of like a nude color, that kind of helps make that look a little bit more natural. So I'm really happy to have that in my collection. And I think the little highlighter stick on the bottom is just a really fun addition. It applied into the little inner corners here really well. It was a little bit messy, loose powdery, so I did end up going in with a different brush and just kind of making sure and packing that in so it didn't move around. But I think that's just a fun little addition. So this guy is going to be a yes. Then we moved on to our mascara. I'm gonna talk about the Neor Lash Tint first, so the one with the interesting metal applicator. I have to say yes, I really do. This one is so unique and so fun and so different. And on the upper lashes here, it did a really good job applying to my really teeny tiny lashes and not making a mess. That's the biggest thing, where I often struggle with like trying to get really close to the lash line to coat the lashes really well, and I end up making a mess all over my eyelid because the bristles are just too long, and this didn't do that. It was a little messy underneath, so I don't think I would use it under on the eyes anymore, but I really, really liked how it performed on the top, and it's just, again, something so different and something so unique. So this guy is a yes. And then the other mascara we used is this fiber mascara. I'm gonna say yes for now. And that's mainly because I don't use a lot of fiber mascara, so I'm kind of curious to give this one a try to see how well the fibers last and how much volume I can get. I did mention that with this specific mascara, I did find that it didn't leave my lashes curled. They are sitting a little bit more straight here now. So I'll have to kind of play around with either recurling them or trying to sit there and make sure that they stay lifted up because they're not looking very lifted at the moment. But I do like the black color that they provided. Fibers did a little bit of lengthening, which is really nice. And I think it worked really well in the lower lashes as well. It was a little messy for me, but that's just me being messy in that instance. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes for now on this one and try it out a couple more times. And then we went and we moved on to the face. And the next product that we used was that Perfectionist Primer. This one's really odd. I'm gonna have to say I don't think I'll ever use it as a primer again. It honestly feels more like a skincare product. It seems like something you could still apply before makeup to really get your skin moisturized and ready to go for makeup because it just kind of sinks in, dries down. But I don't think it made much of a difference or assisted in any way with the foundation and the products that were applied over top. So I'm gonna say no as a primer. I definitely have other primers that I'm gonna reach for more than this, but I might put it in my skincare bag and add it in there as like one of like the last kind of steps for a little bit more of an additional moisturizing product when it comes to prepping my face. So yes, but I don't think you'll see it, or I don't think I'll use it in other makeup looks. And then we did the foundations. This is tricky. It's so hard to say no. The first one that we used was that Surreal Skin Foundation Wand. I don't know. I don't know. I think the answer is no. There was something, and it easily could be that I put two foundations on. It's a very light coverage, which is not something I typically go for. I do like something that's a little bit more medium coverage so I can kind of cover up some of the stuff on my face. The biggest thing I would say, and I talked a little bit about this during the video, is just the type of applicator and the fact that you really can't clean this up. It's definitely, if I decide to say yes, it's not gonna be a product that I reach for very often. And I think what that's gonna result in is a lot of that foundation and those bristles is gonna dry out. And when you go to try to apply it, when you do want to use it, the brush isn't the same anymore. There's going to be dry foundation in there. I've never necessarily enjoyed products like this where they include the brush and the product pushes through. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. We're going to put you in the no pile. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to use that. I wouldn't use that one very often, so no. Bye-bye. And then the next product here is the Dewdrop Foundation. This one I actually might say yes to. I think I liked how we used it in this instance where we used it kind of in addition to another foundation. I think it could be fun, like if you had like a more matte foundation but you wanted to try to lume it up a little bit. I think this Dewdrop Foundation could be very good for that. So I want to try that out. I want to try using it in addition to other foundations. I do also want to see it on its own and see if I would ever be interested in using it on its own. But it does state that it is a more lighter foundation, so I think on its own it would have a similar coverage to what the first one had on its own. Both of them even together didn't have a whole bunch of coverage, so I think all in all this kind of just provides that luminosity and that dewy look, which in certain places on my face I think is really nice. Like having it kind of assist with the whole highlighting process and making this part of the face look nice and dewy. Certain parts in the forehead, but not so much down here. So yes, this guy's gonna be yes. I think he'll be a fun addition to use with other foundations. So yes to that. And then we went ahead and we set the foundation down using the powder, this guy right here. I'm also gonna say yes to this one as well. Now I'll need to figure out or need to purchase the component that's it's for, because I don't have a way to close this up right now, so I'll need to do something there, but I think it did a really good job setting the face down. I don't know what if it's supposed to be mattifying or anything like that, but I think the thing I like about this one is that it allowed still the products underneath the Lumi foundations to still look loomy, but the face still is set down. So yeah, I really liked the powder, so I'm gonna say yes to that. And then we went ahead and we applied the highlighter stick. And this guy I am also gonna say yes to. I was really happy with how that looks here on the face. I like that we did this first before the blush, especially that it's a cream. Typically you put your cream stuff down first and then powders over top. But it was really fun to put this down first and then take the blush afterwards to even like have it mix a little bit with that. And it just has this beautiful gradient shimmer. I don't know if that's a good way to explain it, or gradient shine to the face. So I'm really happy with how this is looking on the face. A lot of times with like creamier highlighters, something I like to do is if I do really want to build up the bling on my face here, is I'll put something like this down first, and if I want to intensify it even more, I'll go over top of it with another highlighter. So products like this can be really fun to have for those situations, and I think this one could do a really good job with that, just based off the texture. It's not like overly creamy, so I think it could be a good product that you can apply. It'll still be a creamy product, and you can still go over it with another highlighter, but because it won't be too creamy, too wet, it won't just stick in one spot. So I really like the texture of it. I really like how it's looking on the face here. So this guy's gonna be a yes. And then we applied our blush. I already kind of said a little bit about this one and how it kind of played with the highlighter. So, I mean, this one's gonna be a yes. This is a pretty typical shade for me. I probably have way too many shades that are this color in my collection, but I do really like this specific shade, and I really like how it lays on the face here. Kind of just added a little bit more life and a little bit more flesh to the face. So I don't have much to say on the specific one. It's just a very common, typical color that I like for makeup. So this is a yes. All right, so for the brow pencil, this is another tricky one. I had mentioned when I was talking about it a little bit here, being that I know how long the component is, I'm gonna have to look. I wanna look at the price of how much the refill is on this. The full unit with the this component and the refill component, that's $40 for the whole shebang, which is a lot. And then the little refill guy on its own, if you decided to, if you ran out of this or needed to replace it for any reason, that little guy is $18. And that's a little hard to, I don't know what the word is. I don't think I'm happy with that price, but regardless of that, I think the brows look really nice. I think the formula of the brow product is really nice. I'm really liking how they're looking. I just kind of wish you could have gotten a little bit more product for $18. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes for now, but it's kind of one of those products that I don't think I'd ever replace it. I don't think it's worth $18 to refill that little teeny tiny little guy. So formula consistency, blendability of it for the eyebrows, I think is really, really nice, but I wouldn't purchase it again. Hopefully that's a nice way to explain that. So I'm putting it in the yes pile because it is nice, but also not really worth it. All right, and then the next brow product that we used was the brow pomade is what they called it, but it's kind of just like a setting brow, or just kind of puts the brow hairs in place. And I'm gonna say yes to that one. I wasn't sure what I was gonna think of the kind of like toothbrush looking applicator, and I was worried that pulling it out, it looked like there was a lot of product, but there really wasn't a whole lot, or there wasn't like too much product on the tips of those bristles. So I think it did a really, really good job of feathering up the brow hairs and setting them in place. I really don't know how long that'll last, but initially I really like how it made the brows fluff and feather out. So this guy is going to be a yes. All right, and then we finished off here with the lips. So the first product was that lip liner, and I'm also going to say yes on this guy. Now I didn't use it to its full intensity, but from the little bit that I did use of it, it's a very creamy pencil, beautiful pigment to this red that we got. And even I went in with my finger to kind of like soften and smooth it out. It moves around really nicely when you first apply it. It wasn't drying or anything on the lips. Yeah, I just thought it was really nice. So this is going to be a yes. And then over top, we applied their LIPSLIQUE, their little lip product here. And I'm also gonna say yes to this. I thought it looked really nice here on the lips. The specific one here has a really nice color, makes the lips look nice and juicy. It seems like one of those products like you don't really even need to put a lip liner underneath. Just on your natural lips, I think this would look very juicy, hydrating with just like a little extra color to them. So I think this was very beautiful, and I'm gonna say yes. And then we went ahead and we topped the lips off with their lip luster. And I'm also gonna say yes to this specific shade here. Just in combination with everything, the lips are looking even more juicy. The thickness is kind of going away. Things are sort of settling down. It's not as like fresh, but still, it looks like the glossiness is gonna kind of hold up for a decent amount of time, which is really, really nice. And I'm just really happy with how that whole combination kind of came together here on the lips. And so I'm gonna say yes to this. And that's all the products. That is this entire full face using Surratt makeup, Surratt Cosmetics. So we ended up getting rid of 3 out of the 18 products, so that still leaves us with 15 of these Surratt products, which is very nice. So for that price point, they definitely are very nice products. So yeah, so I'm very excited with the look that we came up with here, and I hope you guys really liked it as well. And that is going to be everything for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, feel free to give the video a big thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can be notified of the next time that I post. If there are any Surratt products here that you did not see me put to the test, feel free to leave that in the comments down below. I would love to try and get my hands on it for you and test that out in a future video. Or if you see any of these products here and you'd like to see them put to a full wear test, you can leave that in the comments down below as well, and I would love to do a full wear test for you. And lastly, if you have any brand recommendations that you'd like to add to our list of so many brands, you can leave that in the comments down below as well. And I would love to add it to the list and make a future video for you. And that's gonna be everything. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.